Good afternoon, students. In the previous lecture, uh, we started with the IC engines, that is your internal combustion engines, and the last topic we covered was the knocking that takes place inside the engine, and what are the factors that cause knocking. Uh, in today's lecture, we will start with what are the various ratings of IC engine fuel, and then we will be going through what are anti-knocking agents, uh, what agents are added to prevent the happening of knocking inside an IC engine. Then we will also cover what is supercharging, and why is there a need of supercharging in IC engines. And then the last topic will be the various pollutants that come out of the exhaust, and how those pollutants or emanants that come out from the exhaust of the IC engine, how they affect the environment and the human body. Okay, so that is the lecture for today in IC engines. The first topic, that is the rating of IC engine, will start with the octane number. Now, octane number is the fuel rating that is given, that it is a numeric fuel rating that is given to the petrol or the gasoline. Okay, octane number is associated with SI engines. So it is the rating that is given to the petrol or the gasoline that we use in our automobiles. Now, the resistance to knocking is, say, the most important characteristics of a fuel, and the ability to differ to resist the knocking. It depends upon what is the chemical composition of the fuel. Okay. Now, according to a standard practice, the anti-knock value, it is given to the fuel, depending upon if that sample fuel, it is compared, the anti-knocking properties of that sample fuel is compared to the mixture of two reference fuels. So we take two reference fuels as isooctane C8H18 and normal heptane C7H16. Now, in this mixture of two sample or the reference fuels, isooctane, being a very good anti-knocking fuel, it is assigned a value of 100, and normal heptane, which is on the other hand, it is a very poor anti-knocking, it has a very poor anti-knocking qualities, so it is assigned an octane number of 0. Okay. So depending upon the percentage of these two reference fuels, we can have a chart with, say, 100%. We start from 100% normal heptane and 0% isooctane. So the octane number given to such a fuel will be 0. So if it has 99% normal heptane and 1% isooctane, it will be given a octane number of 1. Similarly, if the mixture has say 40% normal heptane and 60% isooctane, so that fuel will have a octane number of 60. Okay. So similarly, we can have, say, if there is, say, 20% normal heptane and 80% isooctane, then the anti knock or the octane number given to such a fuel will be 80. So what we do is we take a sample fuel, say we go to say, and we take a liter of sample fuel, and what we do is we check the composition of that fuel. Okay. And then what we do is we check the anti-knocking properties of a fuel, using a specified apparatus for that. Okay. And different researchers, they have used different apparatuses over the time to check the anti-knocking properties. Okay. So the value of the anti-knocking property of the sample fuel that comes out, that is matched to the anti-knocking properties of the reference fuels. Okay. So where these two matches, that will be the octane number given to that sample fuel. Okay. So the octane number of a fuel, it is defined as the percentage by volume of isooctane in a mixture of isooctane and normal heptane. So in a mixture of isooctane and normal heptane, the percentage of isooctane present defines the octane number of the fuel, which exactly matches the knocking intensity of the fuel in a standard engine under a set of standard operating conditions. So octane number, it is a numeric number that is given to a sample fuel, okay, and that defines its anti-knocking properties, how better it can prevent knocking, okay, and that is compared for any sample fuel. The value of octane number is compared with the mixture of isooctane and normal heptane. These two are the reference fuels. Okay. So in that reference fuel, the percentage of isooctane defines the octane number of that sample fuel. Similarly, on this basis, we define cetane number. Cetane number is the anti-knocking. It defines the anti-knocking properties of diesel engine or a diesel fuel. Now, in this case, the reference fuels used are normal cetane, that is 616H34, and alpha methyl naphthalene, C11H10. Now, normal cetane, being a good anti-knocking agent, its value is given as 100 octane number, 100, okay, and alpha methyl naphthalene, because it is a poor anti-knocking agent, it is given value 0. Now, similarly, for the sample fuel, the anti-knocking value or the anti-knocking or cetane number is defined as the percentage by volume of isooctane, the percentage by volume of normal cetane that is present in the reference mixture of normal cetane and alpha methyl naphthalene. So here the value should be here, it should be normal cetane here. So it's the value of normal cetane. So this is how cetane number is defined. So here the reference fuels, they change. It's normal cetane. It has a good anti-knocking value, hence it is given as 100 cetane number. And on the other hand, alpha methyl naphthalene, it has a poor anti-knocking qualities, so it is given as 0. So in a sample fuel of reference fuel, the percentage of normal cetane defines the cetane number for a sample fuel. Okay. Next comes is what is the anti-knocking agent. They are also known as dopes or inhibitors. Now, anti-knocking agents, they are used in gasoline as additives. They help in reducing the engine knock, or they enhance the anti-knocking properties of the fuel by increasing the fuel's octane value or the octane number. Okay. Now, the mixture known as gasoline or petrol, when used in high compression IC engines, has a tendency to knock. Obviously, if you use petrol in high, say, compression ratio engine, so pre-ignition will always be there, okay, because the heat produced during the compression will be more, because the compression ratio is more. So that will start the pre-ignition process, okay, or auto ignition process also. So that may cause the tendency of the fuel to knock. Okay. So by adding these anti-knocking agents, we can enhance the anti-knocking properties by increasing the temperature of auto ignition of the fuel. Okay. So typical anti-knocking agents used are tetraethyl lead is there, alcohol ferrocene is there, iron pentacarbonyl is there, toluene is there, and isooctane. So these are the anti-knocking agents that can be added to petrol to increase its anti-knocking properties. Next is what is supercharging. Supercharging is the process of increasing the density of air by compressing the air before it enters the ignition chamber during the suction stroke. So combustion, before the air enters the combustion chamber, what we do is we compress the atmospheric air. Now by compressing the atmospheric air, what we do is we increase by compressing. What we do is we increase the volume of air or the mass of air per unit volume. Okay, so the density of air increases. Now, if the density of air increases, with the increase in air density, the number of oxygen molecules also increase. So this means that air in the same volume, when it is compressed, it will have more oxygen molecules. So more oxygen molecules means I can burn more fuel. Now, when I am say when there is a need of supercharging, that is when I am running my automobile at a very high speed. Now, at a very high speed, what happens is or I am accelerating. Now, in that case, I need a richer mix. That is, I need more fuel to burn. Now, the more the fuel is there, the more is the requirement for the oxygen also. So according to the minimum oxygen required for complete combustion, so if the fuel increases, the amount of oxygen required for complete combustion also should increase. Now, under normal conditions, if there is no supercharger or compressor available in the car, normal air will come in, and that normal air will not have the required amount of oxygen available for complete combustion. Now, in that case, what will happen? Incomplete combustion will be there. So carbon monoxide will be formed, and so what we are doing? We are increasing pollution. Okay, and what other thing we are doing? We are not able to generate the required energy from the fuel. So in this case, what happens? A supercharger is required. Superchargers, what it does, it compresses the air and makes it dense, and in the same volume we can have more oxygen. Okay, so this is the function of a supercharger. Now, various types of superchargers available. There is a vane type supercharger. So air comes in from the inlet port. It gets trapped between these vanes, two vanes, and as this rotor moves, the air gets partly compressed because of decrease in volume, and partly it gets compressed from the backflow. So there is one vane type compressor is there. Then there is centrifugal type compressor is there, and then there is this is your lobe compressor, or it is also known as Lysholm compressor or screw compressor at the bottom left, and then this is your roots blower. So these are all the types of compressors that are used in automobiles for supercharging the air or compressing the air. Okay. Now, another type of in modern vehicles, another type of say charging that is done is a turbocharger. So in a turbocharger, here we can see the diagram of a turbocharger. Now a turbocharger, it has two components installed on the same shaft. We have a compressor and we have a turbine. Okay. So what happens here, this is the engine. So from the engine, the exhaust comes out. Exhaust comes out at a higher velocity and a higher energy, and it strikes the blades of the turbine. Okay, and it starts to rotate the turbine. Now this turbine, because it is attached on the common shaft, it rotates the compressor blades also. Now as the compressor blades rotate, the air or the atmospheric air or the ambient air starts to enter the compressor, and when it enters the compressor, this air gets compressed, and through this inlet hose pipe, this air, because during compression, because the air is getting compressed, the temperature of air increases. Now we need to decrease the temperature of air before it enters the combustion chamber. So we have a air cooler in between that decreases the temperature of the compressed air. Now this compressed air, after cooling, enters the combustion chamber for combustion process. So again, we have here, what we are doing is we are using the energy from the exhaust to run this turbocharger. Okay. So this turbocharger has two components, that is a compressor and a turbine, both connected by a common shaft. Turbine is rotated from the exhaust gases, and when the turbine rotates, the compressor automatically starts to rotate, and the inlet atmospheric air, it gets compressed before it goes into the combustion chamber. So this is the working of a turbocharger. Now, in the next topic, we will discuss about the various emissions and pollutions that are associated with the automobiles. Now, the atmospheric pollution or air pollution, we can have two sources of air pollution. The first is your stationary sources, and the other are your mobile sources. Now, stationary sources, they can be that combustion of fuel that is there in the factories is there, or in the thermal power plants by burning of fuel and coal is there. Uh, from the forest fires, there can be pollution. Okay, uh, from the various types of solvents and aerosols that we use, that like your deodorants, paints, your perfumes. So all these have aerosols in it and solvents that go into the atmosphere, and they pollute the atmosphere. Now, from the mobile sources, we can have the vehicles or automobiles that run on the highways. So cars, trucks, buses, motorbikes, all these are the causes of pollution. Other causes of pollution can be aircraft, boats, locomotives, farm equipment, construction machinery, and lawn mowers. So all these things, they burn fuel to produce energy, and the byproduct is the air pollution that goes into the atmosphere. Now, the primary types of air pollutants that come out of a vehicle are carbon monoxide is there, then volatile organic compounds, oxides of nitrogen, sulfur dioxide is there, the particulate matter, and lead. So these are the major pollutants from the vehicles. If you look into the carbon monoxide is an odorless and colorless gas. Uh, this is formed during the incomplete combustion of fuel. So when the fuel does not uh, have, say, the required amount of oxygen for combustion, so the carbon does not form carbon dioxide, but instead it forms carbon monoxide. So most of it comes from motor vehicles. Uh, the ill effects are, it reduces the transport of oxygen through the bloodstream. It affects your mental functions and visual uh, acuity even at low levels. So it affects your eyesight and your mental functions also. Now improvements are being made, but there are still problems in urban areas. So metropolitan cities and urban areas still has problem. So the governments, they are, and the research and development wings, they are coming up with the solutions, but still, because number of vehicles on roads in metropolitan cities is very high, so carbon monoxide is still a problem. Then comes is your, what are volatile organic compounds. Now these volatile organic compounds, if you keep this open in atmosphere, they form fumes and they evaporate by itself without heating them or without giving them any energy from outside. Okay. So volatile organic compounds, they result from the combustion process and evaporation of gasoline vapors or solvents. So they contribute in global warming. In sunlight, they combine with the nitrogen oxide to form ozone or smog. Ozone, what it does is it irritates your eyes, it aggravates your respiratory ills, and it also damages crops. Now, the ozone problem is the one that is affecting most of the people today. Now, another volatile organic compound is formaldehyde. It comes from paints, most scents and perfumes, gasoline, methylene chloride, chlorofluorocarbons. So formaldehyde is the major volatile organic compound that comes from all these sources, and it is again a causing health issues. Next is oxides of nitrogen. Now nitrogen dioxide is the prominent one. It is yellow brown color in the smog. Okay, smog is what? Fog plus smoke. Smoke plus fog, the term is smog. Okay. Now in many you can see metropolitan cities, you might have seen brown fog in the air. Now this brown fog is nothing but it is the yellow brown, that is nitrogen dioxide mixed in the fog. So nitrogen oxides result from high temperature combustion process in cars and utilities. Now what they do is they affect the respiratory system. They play a major role in atmospheric reactions also. Next is lead. Lead is the worst toxic it comes from mainly from the gasoline, that is petrol, plus battery factories and non-ferrous smelters. It affects various organs and cause sterility and neurological impairment. For example, retardation and behavioral disorders. So this is what lead can cause. Infants and children are especially susceptible. So new laws are coming up. So we are getting the now lead-free diesel petrol. Okay, so we have lead-free petrol, but still there is very negligible or small amount of still lead there inside the petrol that we are getting. So we have been exceptionally successful in controlling this lead pollution to a greater extent. Then the particulate matter. So there are different sizes. So here PM10 is there. 10 means the size of the particle is less than 10 micrometer. Nowadays, the another type of particular matter that is there is PM2.5. Okay, so it is this the size of the particles is less than 2.5 micrometer. So that is now causing major pollution. So PM10 is a general term for tiny airborne particles, for example, dust, soot, smoke. Primary source is the burning of fuel. The black smoke that is coming out of the diesel engine, that is your particulate matter that is coming out. These are small, tiny particles that because they are very small in size, so they do not settle down due to gravity. They remain mixed in the air and they enter the respiratory system, and they cause is mental health. Uh, these cause your irritates the respiratory system, and it might also carry metals and sulfates and nitrates in it. So that is your particulate matter that gets suspended inside the atmosphere. Then sulfur dioxide, uh, primarily it is caused by burning of coal, oil, and various industrial processes. They also affect the respiratory system. This reacts with the atmosphere and it forms acids and sulfates. So this is the major, the sulfur dioxide is the major reason for acid rains. We have heard of acid rains. So, and this is the cause of acid rain, that is the amount of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. So in your new norms, that is Bharat Stage 6, BS6, there is a major control on the amount of sulfur that is there in your petrol and diesel fuels. Okay. So in petrol, it is being reduced from 50 parts per million to 30 parts per million. And in diesel, it is being reduced from 50 parts per million to 10 parts per million. So that will significantly reduce the levels of sulfur dioxide in atmosphere. So next is what is a catalytic converter. Now what happens here is the fuel and air goes in from the front of the car, and at the back of the car, what we get pollutants, that is unburnt hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, oxides of nitrogen, and other pollutants or elements are there. Now, a catalytic converter, it is a device that uses a catalyst, and it converts the harmful compounds that come out from the exhaust of the car into less harmful compounds. Now, the three major harmful compounds that are checked by this catalytic converter are hydrocarbons, that comes from unburnt fuel, carbon monoxide that comes from incomplete combustion of fuel, and nitrogen oxides. At very high temperatures, nitrogen reacts with oxygen to form nitrogen oxides. Now, catalytic converter, it has in it there is a honeycomb structure, and that honeycomb structure it has platinum and palladium inside. Okay, and it is coated. This platinum and palladium is coated. There is a small thin coating that is done on the ceramic honeycomb structure. Okay, inside the muffler. So when say hydrocarbons, they come in contact with palladium and platinum, there is a chemical reaction that takes place that converts carbon into carbon dioxide and hydrogen into water. Carbon monoxide reacts to form carbon dioxide, and nitrogen oxides, they react to form nitrogen and oxygen. Okay. So that is the function of the catalytic converter. So catalytic converter, what it does is it converts hydrocarbons into carbon dioxide and water, carbon monoxide into carbon dioxide, and nitrogen oxide into nitrogen and oxygen. So this is harmful compounds, they are converted inside the catalytic converter into less harmful compounds. So that is the function of a catalytic converter. Now this catalytic converter is connected between the engine and the mufflers, and it is attached beneath your vehicle. So this is your catalytic converter. So this is all from the IC engine part.